for celebrities and materialism, there are a lot of people moving incognito, making daily decisions that eventually enrich the lives of society without any fanfare. This week's Wonder Woman is Sylvia Bloom, who passed away at age 96. Bloom worked 67 years as a secretary while living a frugal life that eschewed owning cars or buying lavish clothes or jewelry. In fact, her only indulgence was an occasional piece of small chocolate. Upon her death, Bloom left $6.2 million of her $9 million fortune, which, by the way, was spread over 3 brokerage accounts, 11 bank accounts. She left it to the Henry Street settlement, and those funds now will go to pay for college scholarships. Joining me now to discuss, Steve Dudash, the president of IHT Wealth Management, Rick Rigsby, CEO of Rick Rigsby Communications, also author of Lessons from a Third Grade Dropout. Rick, let me start with you. I love these kind of stories. She's not the only one. And it's amazing because we do live in the ultimate age of materialism and celebrityism. I don't think they've ever been this high before. And yet it's someone like this that's going to touch so many lives that no one ever heard of.
I love stories like this. And what it reinforces is that everybody can make a difference, regardless of your economic level, regardless of where you live, how you started, whether you started with much or little. For example, a woman named Beverly Cleary just turned 102 years old. Beverly Cleary. She wrote the Henry Huggins series, Henry and the Paper Route, Henry and Ribsy, Beezus and Ramona. I'm a third grader. I get this book placed in my hands because of the seeds some simple woman on the Oregon coast planted in me. I have a vociferous desire to learn and to grow and to challenge myself. Simple people, basic folks doing simple and basic things make a huge impact.
You know, I got to tell you, there's another guy, Ronald Reed. I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but when Ronald Reed passed away, he left a fortune as well. He was a frugal guy. The best job he ever had was janitor. He also pumped gas for a while. And the thing is, this is what his portfolio had. Do you recognize those names? Everyone recognizes those names. This is a guy who never made even minimum wage in his life, and yet he was able to leave almost $5 million to a hospital and $1.2 million to a local library. Steve, I bring this up because you as a professional investment manager must have a lot of folks who come to you and they kind of want to get rich quick, but you don't necessarily have to, do you?
You don't have to. And I'm guessing your viewers are really good savers and they're good investors, which is why they watch shows like this. But the best thing they could do for themselves, this weekend's Mother's Day, and so happy Mother's Day in advance, everyone out there. They're going to probably see a lot of families getting together. Have them talk to their kids, talk to their grandkids, and on Monday buy something. It doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to be Bitcoin or anything like that. Buy those stocks like you just put it up there on the screen and buy a little of it, because your 2 examples of people who grew millions and millions of dollars without making a lot, they didn't invest millions. They invested small amounts a long time ago and then just consistently kept doing it. So have them talk to their kids, talk to their grandkids, buy something on Monday, and then a month from now, buy a little bit more of something. And then a month from now, another little bit.
Right.
Buy defense,
right.
Buy energy, buy consumer staples, things that you know 50 years from now are still going to be going strong.
Yep.
And then enjoy what you have, and that's the time frames.
I always say companies that have been around for 100 years more than likely will be around for another 100. Real quick,
right.
To your point, Grace Groner, she started a job in 1935 as a secretary. So to be part of it, to feel like, okay, I'm at this business, I should own some stock. She bought 3 shares of a stock at $60. That was it.
Right.
It's appreciated since then. She reinvested the dividends. Those 3 shares were worth $7 million by the time she died, and she donated the money to everyone else. You know, Rick, another thing I find with all of these people, they lived through the Great Depression.
Sure.
And something happened to them, but they put savings, they put frugality, and they were able to live long lives. It seems like all of those things have a connection.
They do. That's my dad. My dad had very little, but he grew his capacity for greatness, grew his capacity for wealth. He didn't make millions, but he made millions in terms of the knowledge and the wisdom that he passed on to us. Depression baby. The kind of man that said, son, your wealth is not measured based on how much you make, but how much you save. Because based on how much you save, that determines your leveraging power. That gives you more options. He would always tell me, when you go into a store, leave your credit card in the glove compartment. Take a couple $100 bills. A lot more difficult for them to leave your hands. There's some basics there from those depression babies that are critical.
And then, of course, now what I'm trying to promote is take it a step further. Own these companies that you put money into every time you go shopping. Steve, Dr. Rick, Guys, thank you both very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, the policy of hundreds of college campuses now could be the newest threat to the First Amendment, as many students are asking what's not offensive these days on college campuses. We'll discuss that next.